I think there's little dispute that no other psychiatrist has gained as much notoriety in the 21st century as Jordan Peterson. While the former Harvard professor has been a prominent figure in his field for the past 30 years, it wasn't until recent times that he was propelled into mainstream stardom. But just as quickly as he blew up, he has disappeared in the past year. Upon looking into why this was, I fell into a rabbit hole of Peterson's recent struggles, and today I wanted to share this timeline of events. But before I get to that, I first wanted to give a big thanks to my sponsor, War Robots. In War Robots, you're not just some mindless machine, but rather the pilot who controls and decides all the decisions you make. With that, you have millions of strategic options. This is the case because you have so many choices when deciding how to build your robot. Some people like to go for a huge and strong version, while others like to go small and fast. People select the robot based on their playstyle and which mode they're in. If you want to try War Robots out for yourself, you could click on the link in the description down below. When you download, you'll receive a starter pack which includes a robot with a weapon, plus unique skin, 100 gold, and 50,000 silver. I want to make it clear that this isn't just some simple casual game, but rather a tactical PvP shooter that's 6 versus 6 in real time. And with 61 different robots, 67 different kinds of weapons, and 12 maps, you'll never get bored. That's why I suggest clicking on the link in the description down below to try out War Robots for yourself. While Dr. Peterson had been in the world of academia for quite some time, to understand his fall, we'll first have to go back to the boom of the anti-SJW movement half a decade ago. Following the Gamergate controversy, there was a massive sway in online opinion that the left was out of control, with college campuses being the embodiment of social justice warrior indoctrination camps. This was an era where videos of students getting owned by facts and logic reigned supreme on YouTube, and a soft-spoken middle-aged man found himself gaining some online attention by arguing in favor of free speech and against new hate speech Canadian legislation.
I've studied Nazism for a very long time. It's been 4 decades, and I understand it very well. And I can tell you that there's some awful people lurking in the corners, and they're ready to come out.
Many young men who lacked direction in life and felt marginalized and attacked by the mainstream media and academia started to look at Jordan Peterson as a role model. Within a year, his interviews were gaining tens of millions of views. He was selling out large venues filled with people wanting to hear him speak, and wrote one of the most successful self-help books in recent times. Through his traditionalist views and messaging about taking personal responsibility, he tapped into the zeitgeist of Zoomers and younger millennials. About a year ago, as he was riding this colossal wave of notoriety, he kind of disappeared. Many were confused why, but over the months there have been a trickle of updates showing that Dr. Peterson, as well as his entire family, have had a lot of health-related issues. Trying to figure out what was going on for myself, I ended up compiling a long list of their ailments, discussed on podcasts, social media posts, and interviews I watched. The timeline became a bit unclear at a few points, but as I didn't see anyone else making a comprehensive list of what happened, I tried my best to piece everything together. To start off, Jordan's current ailments can be traced back to a bad meal he had at a restaurant. While I still don't have a clear understanding of if this was because of some sort of food poisoning or allergy, Jordan, along with other members of his family, became extremely ill from this feast, leading to some nasty side effects. From Dr. Peterson's own account, for about a month after the meal, he suffered from insatiable chills, an inability to stand up without fainting, and most worrying of all, extreme insomnia, with him going as far to claim that he didn't sleep for 3 weeks. With these symptoms, he was prescribed benzodiazepine, which he started taking on a daily basis. As mentioned before, the father isn't the only Peterson with health problems, however, as his daughter Michaela began to suffer from arthritis at age 7, severe depression at age 10, and idiopathic hypersomnia at age 21. She claims to have treated her ailments with an all-meat diet, which her father ended up doing as well, which he said helped his clinical depression. And when she needed surgery in Switzerland for her ankle last year, her father stayed by her side to prepare food to fit their special diet. Shortly after his daughter's surgery, Dr. Peterson's wife also was having a procedure done to help with a non-life-threatening form of cancer. Once done, however, the medical staff informed them that the cancer was more serious than they first thought, and that she only had a year to live. While getting a second, third, and fourth opinion by specialists, they all parroted the same story, that Mrs. Peterson's likelihood of surviving was very low, but there was a small chance a dangerous procedure would help. Around the same time, Jordan increased his benzo dosage, and while his wife survived the risky procedure, she suffered from life-threatening complications every 3 days for the next 6 months. Even though his wife began to recover, Jordan started to realize that the benzos were leading to weakness on his left side, detachment from those around him, and an inability to feel joy. When he tried getting off the pills, however, it turned out that he was actually addicted to the drug, as when he stopped using them, he developed akathisia, which he described as feeling like being continuously stabbed with an electric cattle prod. He tried to use ketamine to stop the withdrawals, but it didn't work. Then he booked himself into an East Coast rehab that made things even worse. Then he transferred to a Toronto rehabilitation center, which also didn't give him sufficient treatment, as around this time he also developed pneumonia in both of his lungs. Finally, his daughter found a place in Russia that would knock him out for several days as he went through the worst of the withdrawals. After 9 days unconscious in Moscow, he woke up delirious, thinking that he was going to be kidnapped and murdered. These delusions improved over time, but eventually he found himself unable to type, lay down, or walk upstairs. He had forgotten how to do very basic human tasks. Eventually, Michaela found an anesthesiologist in Serbia that she thought could help her dad, so the family made the trek there. As they became settled in that country, the pandemic broke out, and Dr. Peterson, along with the rest of his family, ended up contracting COVID-19. And on top of that, he developed pneumonia in both of his lungs again. And this is where the health updates stop for now, though I have an inkling that this won't be the end. The only silver lining to take away from any of this is that with the wealth he amassed from his recent fame, the Petersons have been able to travel to 5 different countries in the past 2 years for treatment, a luxury most people don't have. Regardless, this story shows just how quickly your life can be turned upside down at any moment. So that leads to the question of if we'll ever see Jordan Peterson re-emerge in the limelight as he did only 2 years back. Well, the truth is, we don't know. What I can say for certain is that there are still plenty of people waiting to attend a lecture or buy his next book when he does make a comeback.
Je peux